Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you so much for checking out the Tammermagic interview. There's a few things I wanted to address before we get into the actual meat and potatoes here. One of the first things is that as I was editing this video, I realized that the camera battery died. We ran out of space. We just ran into a technical issue with the footage. So at about the 30 or 34 minute mark, the video stops, and I just kind of plugged in the rest of the interview from the actual audio file. So it's just sort of an image of the profile image I've been using for the podcast episode, which takes me into the next topic that I wanted to talk about. The actual video component of this was recorded with camera mic. I've been having some pretty severe latency issues when recording on my laptop and trying to get that to sync up with the footage that I'm shooting on camera. So I wasn't able to sync up the two, the actual footage and the quality audio, the good quality audio. So if you guys want to check it out, then you can check it out on the Let Me Explain podcast with Nick Bianco. And that is actually the third thing that I wanted to talk about, that if you guys haven't, I have my own podcast now. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you guys listen to your podcast. It's cross-platform. It's just called Let Me Explain with Nick Bianco. Sometimes I'm talking to other people like Tamara, where we do interviews, and that's a full episode. Sometimes it's just me, but if you guys want to go check it out, that would be absolutely amazing. And then let me know what you guys think at Good Grief Media on Instagram, and also make sure to give Tamara a follow at Tammermagic on Instagram and TikTok, and just stay up to date with everything that he's doing. He's working with some really amazing people, and I mean, yeah, I couldn't be more stoked for him. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks, guys. So for those who don't know, we went to elementary school together and middle school together, and as long as I can remember, you've always been into magic. When did you realize that you had such like a deep passion for magic, I guess?
That's a good. Well, I feel like we're rolling it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm Tammer, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Handle right there. So when did I realize I had a deep passion? Well, usually because a lot of people get magic kits when they're kids, and a majority of them, use it for a week or 2 weeks, and then kind of it fizzles out. And then it was always like, oh yeah, I used to have a magic kit before, but I stuck with it, and then I met a lot of people. There was a guy who used to go to my church who kind of got me involved. Like, he taught me a few things, and so it's not something I just dropped. It's something I stuck with, and yeah, and so that's when I realized, like, oh, like I really like this, and it's more than just a kit that I just bought for a week or two.
Absolutely.
It was actually my brother's kit that I stole, but don't tell him. But yeah, that's kind of how that.
Did you know that you always wanted to like pursue that as like an actual career, or was it just going to be more so of a hobby?
No, it's interesting. I never thought of pursuing it as like a career on its own, even though I knew it would make really good money. It has the potential to make good money.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the prime examples like Copperfield and all of that, but there are a lot of other guys who are killing it in the corporate world that I know. They do corporate shows and they fly around a lot, but some of them are doing really well. And so after I graduated college, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I think I should try it at least, because I don't want to regret not having tried. So
no, absolutely.
This is me at 23 trying. Yeah.
Were your parents like super supportive of you doing that, or were they what were your parents' reactions?
I think they understood that I had to, this is something I had to try. As I was young and I wasn't married, I don't have kids or anything, so if there is a time to take a risk like that, then, do it at that time. Yeah. At this time. And they understood. Obviously, no parent wants to see their kid, struggle financially or anything like that, which is what they're seeing me do. Well, I try to hide it. It's kind of like a magic trick. But I think they understand it. They get where I'm coming from, because and it's good because you go to school. If you have a degree, you have something to fall back on. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when was okay? So I know that you've had a few shows. You performed at the Magic Castle, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah, in 2010. So how old were we in 2010? That was
23 now, yeah.
2020, so yeah, 13 years old. So that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I became a member there of the junior program.
Wow, okay.
And from there, I just kind of started to get involved with, making my craft better.
Yeah.
You could workshop some stuff that help critique you. And then they'll give you opportunities to perform at the castle on the weekends, like brunch shows.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of how I started to get involved. My roommate just fell. That's what that sound was. But that's how I started to get involved with performing at the castle, is through the junior program. And so now I'm 23, so once you're 21, you graduate from the junior program and you become an adult member. And that's what I am right now.
That's amazing. I mean, that's really something to be like super proud of, because for those of you who don't know, the Magic Castle is kind of a very exclusive club almost, right? You either have to be invited there, or there's some sort of, you can't just go. Yeah.
You have to be, you have to either walk in with a member who's a buddy of yours or whatever. They can walk you in and show you around. They get you in really easily.
Yeah.
Or you have to be invited by a member that you know, or through a mutual friend, and they'll hit you up on email or something and say, hey, can I get passes? And so yeah, once they have passes, they have to call in, make reservations, put your card down, and just this whole process.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Those are kind of the ways to get in.
Yeah.
To the castle. So it's not like you just pay the money, you can get in. It's not like that.
Yeah. Were you aware of like how prestigious the opportunity was when it presented itself?
Yeah, I mean, when I really was. When I first auditioned, I didn't get in actually. So that was, I think, 2000. And so I got in March of 2010. So 2009 September, I auditioned. I didn't get in, or it was October, whatever. I didn't get in, and so I came back and re-auditioned, and I had a 5-minute routine. To this day, that's the rule. You have to have a 5-minute routine or less. If you go 5:01, you're disqualified. So it's pretty. Wow. The time is like super hard. It's a cutoff time. Yeah. But I re-auditioned. I got in, and I think I lost track of what the question was. What was the question?
No, just basically how. Were you aware of like how prestigious the opportunity was?
Yes, and that's why I was like, I really wanted to be a part of this, and I really wanted to give it another shot, and so that's why I re-auditioned and I got in, and I tried to get involved to the extent I could when I was young. My dad had to drive me to meetings. Okay. But then once I got into college, I was able to drive there more often and perform, so that's what I did.
Oh, cool. Awesome. And now you're starting to, we were talking a little bit before, but you're starting to pop off more. You're on social media, you've been seen doing magic with like YG and the Lucas brothers. When did you start to gain that sort of traction, I guess?
That's a good question. Yeah. So I have a really good buddy who he kind of broke into the social media world, and he we just kind of, we always hung out, whether, even before he was in the social world, and through that, I just do magic kind of wherever I go and hang out with people, and at the parties we were at and the events we were at, I got introduced to some people in the industry who then gave me the opportunity to perform to
kind of snowballs from
people. Yeah, it snowballs, really.
Exactly.
It's just meet a bunch of people, and especially in LA. LA is kind of the place to meet the people.
No, exactly. Yeah. Is it difficult to always sort of be on? I guess being a magician and more importantly a performer, you have to be very outgoing and sort of comfortable to turn on at like the drop of a hat. Is it tiring or difficult to be like that, or are you just sort of wired that way?
I guess I'm wired to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, is it tiring? It is.
Yeah.
Especially if it's for a long period of time. I mean, say if I'm doing like a show that's like 4 hours or something like that at like a restaurant that I have to just go around tables just doing magic at, that gets really tiring. If it's like a 40-minute show, that could get tiring, but I don't know, I like it. So I don't really think of it as like, I'm tired, I don't want to do this. Yeah. It's more I think of, I'm tired after. Yeah, exactly. Let me get food and then go eat, sleep.
So how does that work then? I know that you have a lot of like the man on the street. If you guys haven't followed Timmy, it's Tammermagic, right, on Instagram, that sort of thing.
That's funny. Timmy is my name, my nickname, that's how I know. People who call me Timmy are the ones who went to either elementary, middle school, high school with me, but the later half of high school is when I started to go by my real name, Tammer.
Yeah, I apologize if I address
No,
you.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's just funny because, sometimes when I hear Timmy, I always just get a flashback to my younger days, and I'm like, okay, it's someone I know. Yeah. They're in that category. If it's Tammer, it's someone like in the last 5 years. But I don't know, it's a funny thing. But continue your question. Sorry.
Yeah. No. So on Instagram, you do a lot of like man on the street stuff. So like I was saying with like YG, that sort of thing. What's the difference between doing the quick, I don't want to say bit type of magic tricks versus like a headlining show?
It's a really big difference. I mean, especially when you see, so when you do social media magic, especially nowadays, people, the real thing that people want to see is the reactions. Yeah. And like that's really what sells everything. And just with social nowadays, TikTok, Instagram, really TikTok, you see that you only have a few seconds to really get people's attention. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so you got to make sure your magic trick is like, at the beginning of the video, maybe kind of the middle, or just within the first like 10 seconds. Yeah, really you gotta catch their attention. Yeah. Which is completely different. From when you're performing a live show, because when you're performing a live show, you're there, people are there to watch you or to watch the entertainment, and so you have their undivided attention for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long you're performing, and like they're willing to, they understand it's a long form show, it's not a TikTok video or an Instagram video. So the content is a little bit different, when practicing content for Insta or TikTok. Sometimes, like, if I have a trick that I do on social media that takes, like, 2 minutes, I'll try to chop it up, not because I'm trying to hide something, but to just get to the punchlines, like, here's the card they picked, fast forward to the reveal, you know? Absolutely. And I'll actually, in some of my videos, I'll fast forward the whole thing just so people can see, kind of what's happening in a really quick manner, and then it gets to the reveal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you have a preference on doing the quick format of magic versus like say like in a show?
Well, so I mean, my preference is I guess a show style because that's kind of what I grew up doing. Yeah. And that's kind of the way to really do a magic show. Yeah. And because if you think of it, social media magicians will use social media as their platform to get booked shows.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
And those shows are long form. They're not short form. Yeah. My preference is like the long form, but I mean, short form is cool. It's like fun, quick, catchy, and something I'm trying to just get more and more into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's crazy. Let's see here. And how long have you lived in LA? Actually, we came from San Diego, so
that's a good question. Yeah. I was born and raised in San Diego, as you know. Then after high school, I went to UC Irvine, so I spent 2 years at UCI, and then I wanted to be closer to the magic scene, so. I applied to a transfer to UCLA, and I got in, and I just, so it was 2 years at UCLA, and now this is my third year. I just graduated college in June, so I'm in my third year now living in LA.
Okay. Now, what did you say your major was again?
It was math and econ. It was a joint math econ major.
That's wild. Do you see any crossover between doing magic and working with, what your major was, math and econ?
Well, let's see. I guess in both ways it makes you think critically. Really, the math is like, because math you have to like think of ways to solve proofs and all this stuff you got to do. Flashbacks is bad. I got flashbacks at the library like the night before the final. Okay, but so you have to think critically in magic for good magic, and for math obviously you have to solve the problem. Yeah. But I think the biggest crossover is that you're solving problems and you're thinking critically to solve problems. So in a math, obviously it's the problem, they shoot at you, you gotta tackle it. But in magic, your problem will be like, oh, I wanna figure out how to make this float or create this effect under these conditions, under this surrounding. If it's like 360 degrees, people are watching you, like that's a problem that you have to solve, That's a good point. And I like math because it made you think of solving problems in different ways. That's kind of why I majored in it.
That's what I was going to ask,
and it kind of forces a different type of creativity and analytical thinking.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you were talking about creating your own magic tricks. Obviously, I mean, you create your own magic tricks, right?
Some
To
of
a
them,
certain
yeah.
extent, yeah.
Not a lot, but because like magic is, well, really you'll start to see that magic is just built upon concepts that are pre-existent,
Yeah.
but just more modern and with a twist and everything.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, but there are a few things I've created based on concepts in magic. There's a video, I think on my Instagram, that I just posted of me like proposing to a girl.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was like I took off my shirt. I used a bunch of charcoal to like I essentially rubbed it on my body, and then the name of her card was on my body.
Wow.
So that's a concept. That's a concept that's pre-existent in magic. You know, like taking like a kind of like ash and putting it on your arm or something like that, and something reveals, like a message reveals.
Yeah.
But I kind of changed it by using charcoal, which I've never seen done before, and I put it on my stomach, which I have also never seen done before. So yeah, it's kind of like putting your own variations and twists to things.
That's super exciting.
That's the extent of what I kind of invent in the magic world. But being an inventor in the magic space it's a completely different world. You know,
sure.
People they're just creating different stuff, and it's really cool. I'm kind of on the performance side.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, because even then, trying to like actually get a magic trick down, I feel like it's difficult enough because there's such, I want to say sleight of hand, because obviously a magician never like spreads his secrets, but you really have to practice it before.
No,
you
yeah,
bring
of course.
it,
Sleight of hand, practicing. You know, your the skill, whether it's in front of the mirror. Yeah, usually in front of the mirror. Yeah. But then the whole other side of the coin is that you know you got to practice on real people.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets hard, especially in like when you first, for anyone who's starting magic or wants to start magic, the first like 3-4 years, that'll be the toughest part, because it's not like learning the trick. Well, learning might be tough because you've never really done these movements before, but it's more so learning how to like misdirect people or talk in a certain way, say things in ways to make people think one thing when you're doing something else, and knowing which angles are bad and which are good, and you're going to go through a lot of times of people calling you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I was going to say, was that obviously being in LA, there's a lot of people here, there's a lot of people who sort of are ready to be worked on, I guess. I don't know what you would say for someone receiving magic, but someone being like the subject, I guess. Have you had any negative experiences or people that are like ready to call you out on stuff?
Yeah, of course. You actually mentioned the Prime Experience, which is actually footage that is not out yet. The YG clip.
Okay.
So the YG clip, I mean, only a few minutes are out, but there's really like 16 minutes of footage there.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on releasing it in chunks over time.
Yeah.
But one of the tricks was like, I was getting grilled by them. There was one of my buddies was like, oh, do this trick. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because everyone heard him say, oh, do this trick. So if I'm going to be like, nah, then everyone's going to be like, oh, no, wait, do what he said. Yeah. So I was doing it knowing that I would just never do a trick in those conditions, right? In that tight condition and everything. I did it, and it was a learning experience there. So look out for that in the next few months or years when that comes. I'm planning on putting that footage out as like if I'm ever doing like a speech or a keynote, you know,
absolutely.
Talk about that question you asked me, like, has anyone ever called you out, and how have you dealt with it? Okay. So I'll probably use that as like the prime footage. That's really what I'm saving it for. Hopefully, if I can do that speech. But yeah, did you ask how I dealt with it?
Yeah, just sort of like how you turn that around, I guess.
So sometimes you can play it off. Sometimes you just have one-liner jokes that you know can just to kind of like break the ice and the tension, like, oh yeah, like you didn't know that was there, it was there all the time, or like there's a trick where you make stuff appear under cups, right? Okay. So say there's like a lemon under a cup or something like that, and the lemon comes out, and then you say, a liner that you can say is like, oh, like you didn't notice the lemon there, you know, just like some small humor stuff to really like break the ice and break the tension that people feel like
Yeah.
And when people are verbally calling you out, that's where like watching stand-up comedy and comedians would come in handy because you see how they handle hecklers.
Yeah.
And so it's a good skill to know.
Yeah, and you got to be ready to deal with all of that because that's going to be.
I've had some hecklers. I mean, I always have hecklers here and there. Even the pros do. I mean, there's always going to be that one guy who wants to be the hot shot in the room, calling out, making himself look good.
Yeah.
I remember I was doing a show and one of these, there was a kid who was like, "Oh, like I know how this trick is done."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, me too." Like, that's just one of my lines. You know, like obviously I know how it's done. I'm the magician, but it's just lines like that make people laugh. And usually, if you take a heckler and then you're making people laugh based on something the heckler said, and then you respond and then they laugh, then it's like that'll kind of quiet the heckler down. Yeah, because then they're like, "Oh, okay, he can fight back." But I always try to do it in a polite way. I've seen people handle it in a very like aggressive way, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that, but
Well, because I think it depends on what energy you're putting out versus what you get back, and
right.
Even deeper than that, it's gonna be so. There's so much more than like just doing magic. You've got to be able to like know what you're doing magic wise, be able to perform, and then deal with.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like whenever a lot of people ask me this question, like, "Oh, like what's going on in your head when you're doing magic?" And it's like there's multiple like parts of me. It's like me splitting myself up into two different worlds. So here you got the magic world, part of my brain. You know, worrying about technique, angles. Technique and angles and like kind of the script of the magic, but then you got the social world, like just having to worry about how people are feeling and their expressions and how these two worlds combine and how you have to accommodate for like someone who maybe is about to heckle you or like they're kind of looking and eyeing you down. You have to kind of notice that and change your technique based on that. So you're kind of juggling between magic and socializing. Yeah. The technique, the mechanics of how the trick is done and how to deal with people,
That's crazy.
So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's a really crazy experience actually. And then if you're under like high stress conditions, do you know who Gary Vee is?
Yeah, that name sounds big.
Yeah, he's a big social media inspirational speaker, motivational speaker, investor, all this stuff, right? And I was doing magic to him, and like there was just so much. I was worrying about my technique and what I was saying. It was just a lot, because it was a really high pressure situation. Yeah, that's on YouTube too. But
yeah, no, absolutely. I think I saw that clip. And another question that's super interesting is like people, say filmmakers, artists, actors, whatever. They all go through agents. They end up getting agents. What's that version of like for magicians? Do you go and get agents as well? I know that's kind of
that's a good question. I actually have an agency. So and it's a little bit different too. Have you heard of Scam? SKAM?
Yeah.
Scam artists. So they primarily book DJ. They represent DJs like Justin Credible. He does a lot of Vegas shows and. They represent Lil Jon. Oh wow. They represent Tyga, Nick Cannon, people like that. T-Pain.
Yeah. Do a lot of like appearances. That's right.
Yeah, and so this goes back to when we were talking about me just meeting people with magic. Yeah. I was doing magic at a party, and I did this trick to the CEO of the agency, the guy who started it, and. He wanted me on board. Well, first a few months later after I met him, I did his birthday party, and that was here in LA, and that was like a 4-hour gig. It was pretty sick. Yeah, it was long, all these tables, but it was fun. It was cool. And then he said, if you do well at this gig, then let's talk about you getting representation by us, right? And so they're my agency now.
That's crazy.
So whenever like bookings come my way or they bring bookings, we kind of just work out. They help out with the contract and all that stuff, and they just kind of represent me.
Okay, cool. And then that would largely be for like whether it's parties, just events, that sort of thing, to do more headline gigs. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
again, totally random question, but if you weren't doing magic, what would your next thing be? your next like passion, I guess?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, so I have a lot. So I've always liked having like an analytical mindset, and then also doing the creative. Always love juggling creativity and like an analytical process, which is why I enjoyed my college experience. I did magic, just to groups, and I was in a fraternity, so I would do magic at like sorority events or whatever it is. That also the math compensated for the analytical part.
No, absolutely.
Um, so, so I guess to answer your question, what if I wasn't doing magic? What would I be doing? Maybe like kind of like an investing. Maybe I'm interested in like real estate, so that'd be cool to like sell real estate and maybe get into commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? I might get into it. Maybe not. I don't know. The beauty about magic is that you can apply it to a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are magicians who used to work on like Wall Street, and now in their magic shows they'll do like stock predictions and stuff like that, and so they can hit that demographic of companies who hire them for events.
That's crazy.
So it's pretty sick.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that. I actually love magic for that purpose, that it could be applied to so many things in the real world. Not just the magic world. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that magic's like difficult to get into? I guess. I mean, there's obviously a learning curve to it, but
it's always best to get into it when you're younger. It's easier to just like absorb information and learn the mechanical moves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big time. Yeah, it's always easier for that. But if you get into it at like a later age, maybe in your late teens or early 20s, there's still room for you to grow.
Yeah.
But it's just, when you're younger and you're involved in the community, you start to meet people your age who will grow in the community with you.
Yeah.
And so you'll have all these contacts and, I was doing some competitions when I was younger. And then I got magic teachers out of that. So I have a few teachers in Vegas, and through them I met magicians XYZ.
Yeah.
And then when you go to all these magic conventions, it's just like a really cool environment where a lot of magicians just come together and it's like jam, and you get to see great magic. The cool thing about magic is that it's really like the community is really open. Like the pros will respond to you and give you advice and guide you.
That's cool.
It's not like say you're starting in music, right? And you want to hit up like Kanye West, you know? Or like, okay, that's a really big example, but like, I don't know, maybe a musician who's not as poppin' but still poppin'.
Yeah.
It's probably harder in the music industry. You can't just email them or try to get a connect. Like,
exactly.
It's easier to do that in magic.
Yeah.
And they're just more open to it. Because I guess it's a smaller community and it's just
a little more niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
Is that your phone or mine?
No, I don't know whose phone that is.
No, it's not my phone. It's probably my roommate's. It's fine.
No, it's all good.
It's good background.
Yeah. Have you gotten to meet people like David Copperfield or like?
Yeah. Okay. So, again at these magic conventions. Magic Live is a convention I go to. It's every year in Vegas. I've met Copperfield there. His manager, Chris Kenner, met him.
Yeah.
They always throw an event every year. Lance Burton, who is a magician I idolize, he is good friends with my magic teacher in Vegas. My magic teacher is Jeff McBride.
Okay.
He runs the McBride Magic and Mystery School.
Oh wow.
So which is what I went to.
Yeah.
I did a few sessions there.
Oh cool. All right.
Yeah, I've never met David Blaine.
Yeah.
Never met Chris Angel.
Okay.
But I've seen them in the vicinity.
Yeah.
If it was at a convention. But I don't know. I don't like to be all starstruck. Like, oh my god,
absolutely.
like, can I get your autograph or a picture? I don't usually do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, I have met a lot of big names. A lot of the guys in Vegas right now. Matt King, Matt Franco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of those guys right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference on what kind of magic you like more? Because I know obviously, actually, I mean, I'm not too sure. A lot of the stuff that I see you do is a lot of like card tricks, that sort of thing, smaller stuff. But if you watch Chris Angel, he's doing like levitations, that sort of thing. Do you have a preference on which ones you like more?
Well, so I I've always been doing kind of like the close up type of magic, because there's a few categories of magic. You have close up, stand up, and stage.
Okay.
Close up is like cards and coins.
Okay.
Stage is like making animals appear, or like making people levitate and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then stand up magic or platform magic is in the middle. It's like kind of the things that are a little bit big for close up, but a little bit kind of small for stage.
Okay.
But nowadays with projectors, with live feed projection, you can get away with any type of magic on stage. So you have, Matt Franco in his show at the Link in Las Vegas. He does close-up magic.
Okay.
A lot of close-up magic, and it's all projected.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's like a close-up show in a theater, but because of the projection in the camera, it's big. But to answer your question, what magic do I prefer? I like close-up and like platform magic. I don't really do magic that I don't levitate people and stuff like that. More so, it's because you gotta have. If you really get into it, you gotta have a warehouse and just like a really big space to store all your stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And you have to have the practice area to do that. It's good if you have access to a stage. I know a magician friend of mine. His name is Fernando. He's a stage magician. Right? So he does all these like big productions and these big escapes, and like he'll be like hung upside down, and there'll be like huge steel jaws that come down and try to kill him, and he has to get out of it. Like I can't put that in my bedroom. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I guess one of the final questions is that, like, you've been doing magic for so long now. Watching magic and being sort of an attendee of magic, does it still have that same like wow factor for you, or are you trying to more figure out like what's going on? What's the sleight of hand? What is he doing?
That's so the wow factor for me changed. It's not like there isn't one. It's more so it evolved and changed. So it changed into, well, from when I was a kid, I was like, oh wow, like how did this happen? Like how did this person do this trick?
Yeah.
Like how did the trick work? Now when I see magic, for the most part, there's still some things that I don't know, but for the most part, I kind of know the techniques. And what I tell myself is, how was this trick presented? How did the audience respond? How did they like it? You know? Because that's what really makes a good show.
Yeah.
It's not how good the magician is. It's how good they interact with the audience and how good they think he is, and how good their experience is as a whole. And so that's kind of, I appreciate that. I mean, you can have really simple magic, but the audience can just love you, and that'll be a great show.
That'll be great.
Know?
Yeah.
It's really, at the end of the day, it's entertainment. And it's really the feedback of the audience, which is what matters.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. But it's always a plus to have really killer magic and a killer interaction with the audience, and that's just the ultimate.
They feed off of each other and sort of, And then for any aspiring magicians, or more importantly, again, just like artists, people that want to pursue their passions as a career, what do you have to say for them?
I think, so it's something that Lance Burton told me. Never buy a trick to figure out how it's done. Okay? It's kind of like, it's like people are like, oh, I want to be a magician. Like, okay, oh, this trick looks so cool. I don't know how it's done. Let me buy it. I don't think that's a good approach when you try to get into it. A good approach to get into magic is, start learning the basics from a book. Start learning off YouTube. I learn from books mostly. But yeah, it's you just learn as much as you can, and try not to blow a lot of money at the beginning, and see how you do for a year. And if you're really interested in it, and you're trying to keep doing it, then they consider going to a convention, or consider going, investing, or try to get some funding to get a new trick, or But a lot of things can be done with just a deck of cards that you pick up at Costco.
That's true, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I like to do a lot. I like to just get cards that I can just literally give away at the end of the show. Because it's like legit,
No, that's super cool, yeah.
But yeah, if you wanted to get into it, the younger the better, but that doesn't mean that if you're older and want to get into it, you can't.
Yeah.
But then again, when you think about it, like if you're older, say you're like 25 and you want to get into magic, it's going to be extremely difficult to make a living off of that, of only doing that, you know?
No, exactly.
It's so you probably should have some other type of job or any type of
source of income.
While you get into it. But that's what.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Do you always have tricks up your sleeve? I know that this is kind of a magician's secret. If you can't tell us, that's totally fine. But obviously, are you ready to do magic at the drop of a hat? If you're somewhere out, you can just do it right away, or do you need to be sort of prepared for it?
Yeah, I mean, I always try to have one or two things ready on me.
Yeah.
There's always really simple stuff that you can do.
Yeah.
Like, there's like cool body illusions, like
Okay.
putting your thumb through your ear. Those are just
Wow.
like basic ones that.
Yeah.
But then I usually try to have a deck of cards on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. Perfect. Well, that was awesome, man. Thank you so much.
No problem, man.
Awesome.
No problem. Nice talking.
Yeah.